Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Today is Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025. It's 5:30 p.m. and this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Marquette Township Board. And we will start with the pledge if you'll join us.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Patty, you want to do roll call, please?
Roll call, who wants to start?
Whatever. You can just call
I
out
can
names.
start, or I can say, we can say our names.
Okay.
Linda Winslow, trustee.
Lynn Durant, supervisor.
Andrew Rickett, treasurer.
Dan Everson, trustee.
John Layton, trustee.
Carl Kenta, trustee.
Okay, and Clerk Rattari is absent
Yeah.
and excused. It's funny, like, it's like having an arm missing or something, you know?
I know, used to.
Yes. Okay, any public comment before we get started with our meeting? No? Okay. So tonight, I'm wondering, we've got Lenny, so when we get to the approval, I'm thinking we move up 8E. I can read the consent agenda first. Tonight's consent agenda consists of regular meeting minutes of August 20th, 2025, and special meeting minutes of August 22nd. Bills payable in the amount of $150,784.98.
Excuse me.
No other reports or committee reports. I did throw in the Respect Marquette County notes from August 14th and the senior center calendar. I love that. So I just asked them for that this month. And July 2025 financial statements.
I move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Then for the remainder of the agenda,
So I
so
move that we approve the rest of the agenda, but we will move 8E up to which, where's the best spot?
right at the top, 8A.
Move it up into 8A.
So he doesn't need to wait. I think that's all that pertains to him. Okay, and second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, I'm not aware of any conflicts of interest. We don't have any board education tonight. Community linkage, just a couple things to share with you. Materials management, I updated the county last night, and I will talk about that when we talk about our work session possibility. And I was just going to share a couple things from the county meeting. The sheriff's report, undersheriff gave a report last night. They have 85 members in an 80-bed jail. They have 28 in Iron and Alger counties. And I qualified that with the undersheriff after the meeting. A lot of the discussion at the county level has been whether to, I guess they're going to try to pursue a new jail, a new building, refurbishing something. They're supposed to have a report at the next meeting in 2 weeks. But anyway, the undersheriff made a statement that caught my ear because I've heard from two different people, one who's in the legal side of the county workings, that said there are tons of beds open, and don't let them tell you that you can't, that we need a new jail. So I've had two people tell me that. But something the undersheriff said was, you can't mix one type of person with another. So while you might have first offenders, maybe all those beds are full, and there might be one major felon, and there might be 2 or 3 beds in that area that are open. So while all the beds aren't full, they can't commingle, and they have women on some side, on one side, so they may have beds open in that area if there's only one woman and maybe there's 5 beds or whatever. So I told it, or I mentioned that to him, and he said, I really appreciate you mentioning that because I've been doing this for so many years, I don't think about that perspective. And I said, well, just because I was told, that all the beds are open. And he goes, oh, okay, that makes sense. So he's gonna put that as part of his report the next few times, so the public understands a little bit more. And they have had 24 homeless a day, and that keeps changing. And he said it was the first month without fires in a while. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
What do you mean?
Fires.
What did he mean by that, without fires?
We must have been having them at a regular pace, because he said it's been a few months since we've had any.
Do you mean the inmates were
Fires.
making
No,
fires?
just fires in the county.
Oh, I don't,
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I was-
we have fires.
I was confused. I thought they
Yeah.
were having fires in the jail.
Yeah,
I know.
he said for a whole week we didn't have a fire call?
He said for a few months,
Yeah.
we've been
That's
having
nice.
fires, and this was the first month we did not have fires. So that's why I
Oh.
wrote it down. I thought it was,
That's like odd, okay, because that's just odd, because I don't think that's, I
this
don't
would've
know,
been for
yeah.
August, so
Yeah.
maybe August was quiet.
Yeah,
Better get an explanation on that one.
yeah, and Shanahan's not here,
Yeah,
right?
Candace. And the Nagani Health Department got a $704,000 grant, and they are going to refurbish their front end, the doors and the desk area. So they were
Up
pretty
by the
excited
old
about that.
airport.
Yep, we're excited. The whole thing's paid for with the grant. And then the clerk announced that there will be an election in November. I suppose Randy already knows that. Schools, multiple schools, I think she said 3, have something on the ballot. So I suppose we could jump on that if we needed to add something.
I don't think Marquette has something, did she say
She
that?
didn't say which schools. I thought
Oh.
she said 3 schools.
Yeah, I don't.
So
No,
then we can talk about trash.
no Marquette.
Okay, let's take care of Lenny, since he's online. He's ready. Maybe okay, good.
I'm here.
I thought I'd move you up so you don't have to wait.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep,
So this is just going to be basically for a sewer camera. It's a tool that we could definitely use. We've been borrowing or renting some smaller ones that aren't really industrial grade. This one is actually made for what we do. So sewers, it's kind of an industrial use. It's going to be a 200-footer, so they'll be able to do our sewer mains and also be kind of small enough to be in the middle and help use service lines too. Or not necessarily service lines, but smaller lines. And this particular model comes with, or an extra with the package, but it's part of it is a locator. So that'll also help with mistakes, especially with sewer. Sewers aren't made out of copper or metal, so they're usually plastic. So we usually have a hard time doing any kind of locating on our sewers. With this type of camera that we put down, we'll be able to do mistakes with those as well. So I got 3 different vendors. I found a couple online, and I found our local vendor, which is Aetna, and they have the lowest price. So I think I didn't want to put too much information on what all the specs and everything are, but I got kind of like the pictures and the highlights on there, so everybody can kind of see what we're looking at. And this was in our CIP too as well.
I would move that we would purchase that. I did some checking and it seems like it's at a really good price and the right equipment. It's a big enough camera, 200 feet of you know, they call it holes, but cable, and so it looks good to me.
that's support. Okay. Motion and support. Any questions for Lenny? Comments? Okay, all in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Okay, that was easy.
Yeah, thank you about this weekend. I got a new puppy here, and she doesn't know when meetings are on, so she decides to cause trouble.
Okay, thanks, Lenny. All right, Then we can circle around and consider the 2025 tax rate request form for the DDA. We did talk about this a few months ago and put it off till, it's not due till the end of September. John, do you want to talk about that?
The DDA one is pretty straightforward. At their last meeting, they did pass a motion to continue the recently expired millage, which was 1 mil for 2 years. The motion that was passed was for an additional 2 years, which would be for the current year and next year, 1 more mil. And I'm trying to remember what that generates, 100,000 a year approximately. And what the DDA tries to do is take that and use it as seed money towards grants. And we're still patiently waiting for the first grant project to commence, but it should be next year. Impatiently waiting, I'm sorry.
It's only been a few years.
So in the column on the far right where it says NA for expiration, that will be 2026.
Okay, pleasure?
Make a motion to support that.
Okay,
I'll second.
questions for John? Okay, we need a roll call vote, please. Patty?
To do just one,
Just name everybody off and we'll say yes or no.
okay, Carl,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Andrew.
Yes.
Lynn? That's okay.
Linda?
Yes.
Lynn and Linda.
Linda. And John.
Okay. That passes 7-0.
601 absent.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, then. Next one is to consider the 2025 tax rate request form for the township. So we've got operations, roads, the fire equipment, the police, for the sheriff, the library millage, and the Act 33 fire. That's not, yeah, okay, that's not a 2.8, okay, yeah.
I just want to note that there is a rollback this year. The last 2 years, there wasn't a rollback because inflation exceeded 5%. And this year, inflation is below 5%, so there will be a small rollback on each of those calculations. So for instance, operating goes from 4.8078 mils to 4.7741 mils. And I guess to clarify that a little bit more for people that maybe don't pay too much attention to their tax bills, the word out there is taxes are always increased, they're never decreased. Well, in this case, the millage actually decreases, but your assessed value could potentially increase, leading to a net increase in your tax bill, right? Not necessarily, but if the math works that way based on your assessed value, that could be the case. And it's a little bit more complicated than government just saying, give me more of your money. It's established rules that our assessors have to follow, except for dark stores. Well, even on the dark stores, they have to follow the rules, but they can get overruled on those.
That was a good summation, thank you.
To do
Pleasure?
the roll call or no?
We've got to get a motion first in a second.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Support?
support, questions? Anything for John? Okay,
Okay, Carl,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Lynn,
yes,
and Linda.
Yes.
thank you. Okay, consider scheduling a work session to discuss recycling. Let me just give you kind of an update. This came about a couple months ago, or maybe a couple meetings ago. We received a letter from the chair of the Solid Waste Authority Board asking about the Urban Cooperation Act, and would we be willing to participate by going to the county or writing a letter or showing support for this, I'll loosely say millage, because according to the county treasury department, it would have to be an assessment, but they asked for millage of up to, could be up to $25 a year per household. The county cannot establish how many households we have. The act itself is kind of long, and it's more involved than what the chair picked out. He just picked out the first paragraph that talked about the money. And so they recommended between $2 and $10 a year per household that would go toward recycling. So some of us supervisors got kind of upset about this, because when you go to listen to their meetings for solid waste, they say they're not getting enough product. So I stood up and said, why are you asking for money if you're not getting enough product? So this is why the discussion came up, and then Linda said, well, we can't answer this letter, we don't have enough information. And I had already sent a letter, or a notice anyway, detailing what I would have to present to you to get a good response. You know, financials and expenses, and how long would it be, and all the normal things that you would expect when you're asked to provide funds, you know. And Randy said, well, what does your board think? And I said, they're not ready to make an answer, a commitment, or a letter, or anything, until we have more information. So apparently none of the supervisors in the township, or none of the boards, said anything. None of them are interested. I think one actually wrote a letter and said no, but the rest are just not responding. So we are going to have, Mike Standard is the director of the Solid Waste Authority, and he is coming to the September 24th County Township Association meeting and do a presentation to kind of talk about this. We've been trying to figure out, a few of us met with the chair of the county commission. We had some supervisors, managers get together and had a meeting there. 2 or 3 of us supervisors got together and met with some of the materials management staff in QPAD and solid waste. So instead of trying to have all these different factions, we'd like to have maybe a meeting in the community room following, for the county, following a meeting at the County Township Association. So we're expecting or hoping, and it depends on how the invitation is sent out, I guess. The County Township Association meets typically once a month, except for a couple of months in the summer. And we usually get about 12 townships out of the 19 represented there. And the chair of that committee will usually have speakers. Sometimes it's the road commission, sometimes the sheriff comes, House, Andrew Ruiz come, Antonio's come, Enbridge has come. We have a multitude of different people come. And any one of you are welcome. It's not just for supervisors or anything. And so this month is going to be Mike Standard is going to make a presentation. 2 other supervisors and I will report on what we've compiled from the last couple months of meetings and make presentation. We'd like to then have some kind of an open forum for the county, maybe at our hall or Negaunee Township or something, doesn't matter where, and explain something of what's been going on. So I typed up another sheet and shared it with the materials management group and some of the staff from solid waste, the authority, and said, in my mind, this was kind of a culmination of everything from all these meetings. We need to have communication and education be number one. We need to get out and explain to people why recycling is important. We need the product, we need cardboard and plastic. Those are the two money makers for the authority. The rest are important, but those are the two biggies. Cardboard is the biggest. And then, the second step, I had 8 different steps. Basically, there are, I'm trying to save a work session here just by giving you the highlights. There are communities that have trash pickup, curbside, but they don't have recycling. So then we approach those communities and try to figure out how to get recycling carts for them, whether they do grants or the county helps or whatever. That's be the second step. Then we have communities that don't have pickup at all, curbside. Sands, Scandia, I think are the two I'm thinking. I'm not sure about the West End. I think Jim says there's 3 or 4 on that end that either burn a lot of their materials, or they have a transfer station of some kind, or they don't do anything. So there's 2 or 3 sources right there of product, which is what they need. And as a group, or as the townships or the county or whatever, try to figure out how we can do that. There's all the commercial market that's not totally tapped. Josh Wales is the director of recycling at the landfill, and he has approached, apartment complexes in Northern and the hospital, the biggies, Eagle Mine, and, everybody that would be having lots of cardboard and stuff, especially. They dealt with the big box stores, and a lot of those stores ship their cardboard out, and they get reimbursed themselves. So the discussion is, the intergovernmental agreement says that we can't do that. How are the commercial people doing it? So that whole network hasn't been addressed, and the landfill attorney is looking at how that plays into this. There are doctor's offices and accounting offices and daycares, and are those people recycling? How do we find out if they are? How can we get them to recycle? Small apartment complexes, besides all of the people in the communities that don't recycle. So I think if we start with this and figure out if we can garner as much product as we can, especially because the state is requiring this, it's got to happen, which is why the Materials Management Planning Committee was formed with the 6 counties in the center to try to bring all that landfill, or all that recycling to our landfill or Delta. We're the 2 that have landfills. There was a woman on our committee in Escanaba, the materials management, who was county appointed. I don't even know which county she's from. I don't want to guess. Who represents an incinerator company, who would like the 6 counties to bring all their stuff to them. They also suggested activating the train rails to move product across the UP and into Wisconsin via rails. So we had a long discussion because there are no rails out by our landfill, and there aren't any by the Delta landfill, apparently. So most of the trails, I pointed out, I said, the Heritage Trail and North Country Trail, and a lot of these trails have taken the rail trails. And with the DNR contract or agreement or easement or whatever, those could be returned to the the state. Those tracks could be reinstated if the state says so. But for right now, there's no way to move product by rail that wouldn't also require multiple truck movements. So this has gotten way advanced from, can we just recycle? Mostly because the state is controlling a lot of this. We have specific deadlines that we're pretty close to or a little bit behind on with the materials management, partly because we haven't had quorums for 2 meetings and then we missed 1 meeting from a snowstorm. So there will be a survey that planning committee is going to put out. It should be ready for that committee to approve next week or the week after, I forget. We're the third, I think it's the third Thursday. One survey will be sent out to municipalities, another will be sent to haulers, and another to end users. And they're just gonna try to, I'll bring it here, we can put it on our website, they wanna get it to as many people as possible. And get email addresses, or we can maybe blast it out or whatever, I don't know, we haven't gotten that far. And I asked the QPAD representative for this materials management committee, is it still the intent to bring everything to our 2 landfills? And he said he didn't know. So I think things are changing in the state. It's possible that one of the 6 of us might back out from this consortium. I think they're not, one of the groups, and I don't know which one it was, is not happy with this. They just want to, maybe it's Delta, I don't know. They want to do their own, figure out their own thing. So this is, for right now, the Urban Cooperation Act request of you is off the table for now, so we don't have to worry about that. It would be helpful if you could attend that September 24th meeting in Marquette Township, if you're available at 6 o'clock. If not, that's understandable too, to just get more information. The Township Committee wants input on how to do this, on how to make it happen, because we have to. We don't have a choice anymore. The state's requiring we do this in the next couple of years. What happens with people who don't recycle, I have no idea where that's gonna go, if there's, fines, or if the state's gonna come and knock on your door and say, where are your milk jugs? I don't know. So that's, I don't know that a work session is necessary right now. That's why I thought it might be easier just to explain to you where we are and where, I don't know where we're going. But the county is not in favor of the Cooperation Act. They don't want a recycling assessment of any kind, so it hasn't been brought to them officially. So, I don't know. But I figured that's enough information for you without making you crazy.
I think the thing that you said about communication and education, those are the 2 biggest things. Somehow we have to get some money to put toward that so that it can happen. I mean, I understand the trickle-down theory of, meeting with all of the township boards, educating them, and then we bring it back to our people. But we need a media blitz, to be able to get this to really happen a lot better. I mean, and I think it's a good start by meeting with, going to the September 24th meeting and learning more about it, because there's a lot of great opportunities. The killer is the labor in the trucking, of moving the stuff around. I mean, so it's tough, but I mean, if it's going to extend, you weigh that against extending the life of the landfill, and that's a huge thing. So.
And that's what Mike is gonna talk about. Mike and Josh, I think, are gonna bring that side of it out, and the financial, and I asked them to do some financial cubic yards and how much, I don't know if you remember in your packet, when I showed their packet, there's, the recycling sheet is there. And I think we're already 20,000 in the hole or something for this year to date. But I asked him if he could put on the bottom, what impact does the recycling have, like percentage-wise or cubic foot-wise or dollar-wise, on the landfill? Because it would be millions of dollars to try to put a new landfill together And where would it go? You know, how would that happen? Going through Eagle and years of that, plus the closing of what we've got. So if we can save the landfill, right now it's 50 years. When I got on this board, and I told Mike that, when I got on the board in 2008, it was 50 years. It's still 50 years, so that's good. The recycling has helped maintain that longevity of what they're able to stack there. Keeping the tires out, you know, the partnership, Superior Watershed Partnership got that grant I was telling you about, 70,000. They're taking the tires, so the landfill doesn't have to take them. And they're processing them somewhere downstate. People are using them. So that helps, you know. Are we gonna care in 50 years? We're not gonna be here, but somebody else after us is gonna have to worry about it, so.
So I think our job is to do what's good for our township. So you have to get someone who wants to be the advocate for this and get out there, and as Carl said, we need to talk to the people in our community. And the whole big landfill can be concerned about everyone, but I'm concerned about our township. And if I want people to recycle in this township, what's gonna get you to recycle, Lynn? What's gonna get you to not throw that piece of paper in the garbage? And I can tell you, you know, people are about what they see as good. And
Easy.
well, not always
It's gotta be
easy,
convenient, though. for them
because
to do it.
glass, it sits in my garage until I bring it to where it goes, okay? So it can be easy, but I think we need to be concerned about Marquette Township. What can we do? Let's ask our friends and neighbors, what will make recycling easier for you? Okay? What will make it easier? I think if you want to know what happens to people who don't recycle, you can do a search about what happens to the people in Japan when they don't recycle. Okay? But I think our concern is Marquette Township, not the whole big picture. That belongs to the landfill people.
Well, because we are part owners, if you will, the landfill, we're one of 19.
Right, but I'm concerned about here. So,
But we
Andrew,
still
what
have
can
that
I do to get you to recycle more? I mean, that's really the question. What can we do to get the bar to recycle? What about Lowe's? What about all these places? But you need a hero up here. You need a team. And volunteers are few, I will tell you. Andrew will tell you.
To your point about money, I put in a request to Ryan to find out the county, each county in this 6-county consortium, actually, there are 3 consortiums. There's the west end, it's Western UP Materials Management, and then there's an eastern end, and we're the central. So each county got a percentage of money, and I think we got, Ryan thought maybe it was 70 or 80,000, and some of that is for like my mileage to go down there. I turn that into the county, and then they pay it out of that. The county got the money, they pay it out of that fund. So I asked Ryan to see what we can use that money for as a county. If we can buy carts, or if we can use it for TV ads, or, you know, newspaper ads, or whatever, as a county, for that education, communication side of it, because that has to come first. And if it doesn't, then what can we use that money for? You know, maybe mailings, maybe they'll let us do that, I don't know, but the state's got a mandate on what that's for.
Maybe a $5 reward to someone who's doing it right.
Maybe so. I don't know.
That
So-
always gets TV attention.
Yeah. So our next meeting in Escanaba is the week after next, so
Okay.
I'll get more information there at that meeting and let you know. And then again, if you can come on the 24th, that would be helpful. Otherwise, I'll let you know what happens. That's enough of that. Or any questions? Okay. Consider establishing a township policy on tax increment financing. this is Andrew's baby. I mean, it was your suggestion. I don't disagree. Let's see. Do we have anything in here? I don't remember from last Friday when I looked at it. Pardon?
I don't remember seeing anything in the packet.
Well, we had talked about a lot of information lately on the tax increment financing because of the project, the housing project in the township. And you had suggested right away, can we, we don't have a policy. The conversation you and I had with some of the developers that night after the meeting, they were surprised because they said every time we go into a different community, there's a different set of rules. There's different planning, there's different zoning. You have to come in front of this board, you don't go in front of that board, or, the rules are all different. And you suggested to them, maybe we should have something we could hand to you. And I remember John saying, oh, that would be great. So your suggestion was, can we formulate some kind of a policy that says, if, we've already got commercial TIFs that we've done, but this is the first residential one we've had to deal with. Do we just need to do a residential TIF policy? Do we want to have something for the commercial side if it does continue? Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for you,
No,
but
yeah, that's it.
you just thought it'd be helpful if the board knew a regular PUD or a regular apartment complex or whatever doesn't have to come to the board, but if there's a TIF involved, then you're talking money. So, some people don't know that. A lot of people don't know how townships operate or what the board does or doesn't do, or what we're responsible for, They know they have to go to planning because it's got to be zoned and looked at the ordinances and stuff.
And I think something like this, it would help me to learn more about it, but to have a policy of what to follow, and I think it might help others too, but the developer, whether it's residential or commercial, it's a different set of rules everywhere they go, and we have a unique, setup of what our township looks like. It's not the same as any other township in the state, and we can see it, but as developers, they don't understand how we are unique, and so we have to look out for what's best for our community and our residents, and it would help the developer know that, okay, this project would work in the township, and this is what I have to do to make it work. I think having a policy would have saved a lot of time and headache recently.
So I guess the first question is, do we want to continue to consider TIFs, whether it's commercial or residential? Because that was one of the concerns from some of the representatives we had in here from the county or their staff, that if this residential TIF wasn't approved, did that mean we were not going to do any TIFs ever again? Or would we take certain ones, or, was there some criteria? So people want to know what we want to do.
So it sounds like a little research here needs to happen. We need to look at what other places are doing and then look at our policies and then develop something. So do you want a motion to have our staff do that?
Whatever you think, this is just a suggestion.
I mean, this is a big deal, and the residential TIF is brand new, so you may and may not find stuff, but the other TIF is long been
I'd be
going
more
on.
than happy to have staff work up some recommendations for you to consider, pros and cons. Could have possibly had some for tonight. There's one right off the top of my head, and that is every TIF should be reviewed and considered based on its actual merits, its benefit to the township, long-term revenue short-term improvement to blighted properties, or maybe not even necessarily blighted properties, but properties that might otherwise not be developed because they have too many issues with them to make it affordable based on $100,000 an acre or more. Just looking at some very recent examples. So there's plenty that we can look into. I don't think you need to make it complicated. But if it's something that you can all agree on, it's a start so that you can at least give a developer coming in an idea of what you may or may not be willing to consider.
Do you want me to make that I can make that as a motion that we ask, is that the correct term?
Direct.
Ask staff, direct staff, to explore the options of establishing a township policy on tax incremental financing.
Or
Okay.
Yeah, let's get ahead of the game this time.
But each incident is gonna be somewhat different too.
They're gonna look at that.
Other little quirks.
You can
Yep.
ask them the general.
At least you can have
Yeah,
a
just
start.
Basic operation.
And the length and any restrictions, those kinds of things are things that are important to us. You know, if we know that we don't want to do a 30-year, but we're willing to do 5 or 10 or 15 or 20, that needs to be in there. You know, what's the length?
I can tell you I won't recommend a 5-year TIF based on
Yeah,
what
that's
Andrew
for sure.
was saying. By the time the development's done, you're so far into that 5 years, it'll take longer to recapture anyway. Unless it's an overly aggressive TIF plan, overly conservative TIF plan where the revenues are going to exceed the duration no matter what. And why would you set it up that way in the first place?
So, it's been moved and seconded, right?
Who was the second one?
Questions?
Cars.
Carl seconded. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, we already talked about Lenny's camera. Any committee updates? Did
The planning committee did not meet.
recreation?
They met the day before your last meeting, and I think I gave a brief report. But the biggest thing that you should be aware of is the action you already took about hours at Lions Field. They asked you to hold off on it. We haven't posted anything yet. The word is kind of out there, and I think the pickleball organization is supportive of what we recommended, but the committee had some concerns about it. And I don't know what the right answer is. They requested additional research be done, but no additional instructions, so it's a challenge.
I think pretty soon we'll have a pretty good deal of time to work on this.
Unfortunately, that kicks the can down the road, and then we get to spring and it's too late. Because spring is when we have the longer days, so. But that's really the biggest outcome from that meeting, and I'll tell you, the attendees of the meeting far outweighed, the pro pickleball attendees far outweighed the non-pickleball attendees. So it was I would say, biased crowd. So was it a fair decision to make? I will say that one of the rec committee members that doesn't have a pickleball interest had concerns about the hours taking away opportunity for the kids to be out and being active at the end of the day. But I don't know that I was effective in communicating my concerns about the excess noise that was created after the current residents moved there. It was a change we put on those residents long after they moved there. So I would say pickleball discussions are not over yet.
And I would hope that our committees could be kind of middle of the road, you know, when they're trying to make a recommendation to us or planning. and just because you like to ride your bike or whatever, or play pickleball, that you wouldn't just try to make that happen. You know, you try to be more neutral and figure out the best plan and come up with suggestions and ideas.
I don't know that they were necessarily opposed to the action you took. They just were hoping, to be fair, that it not be rushed into.
Well, yeah, that's
I
good
still
too.
think, though, that the noise issue is not going to go away. That's my opinion.
Sure.
And total transparency, I don't play pickleball yet.
What about those foam balls we were gonna try?
Joe Shedder actually was gonna go and buy a sleeve and try them and report back. So that's probably part of the research, but
Good.
I suspect what that would do is turn that court back into a tennis court, which maybe accomplishes the goal, I don't know. The organization is actually looking for property, so they can fundraise to build the facilities, but they're not going to necessarily fundraise for all the site improvements to get there. It's to build them once the property exists. And so you still have parking lots, bathrooms, all that kind of stuff too.
And just to add to that, there are people who play pickleball that are not part of that group.
True.
And, you know, I sort of have decided to kind of round around the Lions Park pickleball court in there. Times I've rounded around there, there's no one on the pickleball court. So it's not all the time, 24/7 kind of thing. The playground, on the other hand, is quite busy. But, you know, I guess we just have to be happy we have a park
Yeah. We have to share.
It's being used.
that's being used. You're right.
This pickleball problem, we're victims of our own success with the relatively affordable project we did. I will say, though, that's not a long-term solution either, because we only put lipstick on a pig. So we just did an expensive coating on top of
And
an
it's-
already aged asphalt.
Okay, thanks for that.
Patty, make sure you put that quote in there. Lipstick on a
Lipstick
pig.
on a pig.
I don't follow politics, that just came to me.
I couldn't resist.
Yeah. I think Randy will get us over that 10 hours anyway. Any public comment before we go on? No? Okay, thanks. Any announcements from anybody? Anything exciting going on? Manager, what have you got going on?
I only have one update to provide you, and that is on the residential TIF project that we were just talking about. And that is the status of the ownership, who will be purchasing the property. It's confirmed that the MISTA funding is available, but to a single owner, and that's the original applicant, which is Renovare. So, the purchase agreement that you agreed to last meeting isn't going to work. So what we have to do is go back to the original purchase agreement, clean it up for the things that no longer apply, like our attorney did for the revised one, and bring that back. But by then, we could be at closing already. We went from struggling to get the funding stack, and I say we, it was the developer, to now scrambling to meet a deadline, and they're doing that. Behind the scenes, it's the PUD agreement, it's the agreement between Renovare and Wildflower, which we will need to see to ensure that we're confident that the developer's gonna be able to get this done. At least, I believe, the two of us on this far end of the table believe is necessary. So, stay tuned. It could be a little bit of a wild ride yet as far as getting this across the finish line, but I know they are desperately trying to get there.
Okay. Questions for John?
Are there any deadlines?
Well, there is, but in a purchase agreement that's no longer effective. So
Stay tuned.
we'll probably have to revisit that if we don't get to closing before your next meeting.
They had 10 days after, 10 working days after the 2nd, which was yesterday. So I think it brought it to the 15th or 16th, something like that. Our next meeting's the 17th, so it's gonna be an interesting couple weeks.
That's not to say we wouldn't ask for a special meeting again if necessary in order to get to a closing in that 10 days. If not, you'll probably get some sort of update from myself and/or your legal counsel in the interim to at least inform you of what the status is. And I have no problem shooting a quick email or whatever, just to keep you up to speed.
Okay, anything? We're good? Okay. Andy, you wanna try to review our motions?
I'd rather not. You're better at it.
I didn't keep track of those. That's not
I can probably
essential.
do that.
Okay,
That's not
good job.
essential.
All right. The first motion was to approve the consent agenda. That was approved. Second motion was to approve the agenda as amended. That was approved. Third motion was to approve the purchase of the sewer camera and locator, long overdue, by the way. That was approved. Fourth motion was to approve the DDA tax request form. That was approved. I'm on 5 now. Fifth motion was to approve the tax request form for the township revenues for 2025. That was approved. The next motion, sixth motion, was to direct staff to present recommendations for TIF policy. That was approved. And I believe there's one final motion left, but there's something else before that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
What tax?
So,
So,
To D.
next agenda, we might have something on a purchase agreement, you never know. I'll put the MTA legislative policy back on, so we can decide that and get that off to them. So if you have questions or thoughts or suggestions, that's what I'm looking for at the next meeting. If you think it's fine and you want to send it, or if you don't want to respond at all, that's up to you. You just need to know what to do with it. And we've got a request that you'll be getting from Marquette County Housing Now that I'm part of. That was part of that big project we did, and we sent them a couple $1,000s, the total market analysis. Thanks, Roger. Yep. And it whittled down to this nonprofit, Marquette County Housing Now. So they are looking for financial support, if anybody is willing to give, to help keep the housing director in his seat. That's Antonio. And, or for the Housing Now projects, I guess. But I'll put that documentation in, you can read it. Antonio's job started with a grant and some local revenue, so they would like to keep him. And I don't know, maybe it's a Roger question too, I don't know what we're allowed to contribute to something like that, or if we can, or whatever, so we'll have to ask. I'll mention it to him before that. And then, I don't know, firearms, John, who has that? It's gotta be,
At the last meeting, Roger had indicated he wasn't aware that he was supposed to be looking at it. We have not had an opportunity to close that loop yet. We've just been, he in particular has been spread pretty thin
yeah.
lately.
It's not important, I mean, it's not critical, like some of the stuff we've been working on. I
The
just-
current policy remains in effect, so until we
Covered.
bring a recommendation for revisions, the current policy remains in effect,
Okay. Sounds good.
despite some of the concerns from our insurance provider.
So far, that's all I have for next meeting. which is the 17th, as I said. Anything else? Comments? Issues, problems?
So I just have to extend a huge shout out to the people that helped at Community Day this year. It was very successful. All the ice cream was gone.
Again.
And, yeah, people seem to have a really good time, and the team is already thinking about what they can do for next year, and thinking about a winter activity, so we'll see how that works. So thanks to everyone who helped. That includes the staff here at the township who goes above and beyond, and the volunteers, and all the people that came out, so thank you.
Great. Nothing else? Dan?
I have one seventh and final motion,
Okay.
and that would be that we adjourn.
Sounds good. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are
Scared me
adjourned.
for a second.
6:26.
I'm waiting for the day nobody supports that motion.
Yeah.